Hello, dear listener, and welcome to another episode of The Gentle Path, a space where we can reflect together, share wisdom, and explore what it means to live fully and joyfully as we age. I'm so glad you've chosen to spend some time with me today. Let's settle in, shall we? If you've ever felt the pang of loneliness after retirement, perhaps wondering where you fit now that work's daily structure is gone, you're far from alone. Many of us find ourselves reaching out to old friends during these times, clinging to cherished relationships from the past, hoping they'll provide the warmth and connection we long for. And on the surface, it seems like a logical solution. After all, who better to turn to than the people who've known us for years? But here's something worth pondering. What if rekindling old friendships doesn't bring the comfort you hope for? What if instead it leaves you feeling disappointed or somehow lonelier? I know these are hard questions, but stick with me. Today we'll explore why friendships often shift as we age, why relying too much on the past for fulfillment can hold us back, and, most importantly, how we can move forward to build richer, more meaningful connections. Take a deep breath with me for a moment. Ready? Let's begin. Why friendships change over time. Let's start with an undeniable truth. Friendships evolve. They change, just as we do. Often, without even realizing it, we shape our closest bonds around our daily routine. Think about it. For decades, we shared lunch breaks with certain coworkers, waved at neighbors while walking the dog, or met friends at the school gate when dropping off our kids. Once we retire, though, those routines vanish, and people, well, they grow and change just as we have. John's story comes to mind here. At 72, he found retirement to be lonelier than he'd expected, so he reached out to the friends he used to spend time with after work. But when John called, he learned they were busy, traveling, caring for grandchildren, or simply focused on other things. They seemed, as he put it, to have moved on. And you know, that realization hurt deeply because John had imagined that reconnecting with them would bring everything back to how it was before. But here's the thing. It's not anyone's fault. Friendships from earlier chapters of life often reflect the person you were then. If you're reaching out, longing for things to feel the same, it might be time to pause and ask, am I holding on to an idea of the relationship that no longer fits who I'm becoming? Loneliness versus a lack of purpose. Now, this brings us to an often overlooked insight. Sometimes, what we interpret as loneliness may be something bigger, something deeper, a sense of missing purpose. Retirement erases so much of the structure that once defined our days. Suddenly, there's no office to go to, no meetings, no deadlines. And in that space, there can be a kind of void. Here's a story I love to share. Martha, 68, tried to fill the emptiness by leaning heavily on her friendships, spending hours visiting and calling. But she noticed something strange. Even when surrounded by others, she still felt discontent. And then it hit her. What she missed wasn't necessarily people, but purpose. When she started volunteering at an animal shelter, her days were filled with meaning again. She wasn't clinging to others to fill the gap. Instead, she found joy within herself. So let me ask you, are there causes or passions you've been curious about? Perhaps there's a community theater, a local charity, or even a gardening club calling your name. When we engage with something bigger than ourselves, it often brings profound fulfillment. When friendship feels one-sided. Another subject worth exploring is the balance or imbalance that can happen in relationships. Have you ever found yourself doing most of the calling, planning, or visiting, wondering whether the effort is mutual? It's exhausting, isn't it? And it can start to sow seeds of resentment. Richard's experience might resonate here. At 70, he felt determined to stay connected with his lifelong friends. He'd plan coffee meetups, make phone calls, and even pop by to visit. But it dawned on him, after months of effort, that none of his friends were initiating. They weren't reaching out or checking in. At first, he tried to ignore it, but eventually, he admitted the truth. He was chasing something that wasn't being returned. The truth is, friendships, to thrive, should feel mutual. If you're always the one bringing the energy, it's okay, more than okay, really, to pause and step back. In doing so, you might open space for relationships that carry you forward with equal care. Growth beyond the comfort zone. I want to share Barbara's story with you now. She's a 74-year-old widow who, for years, leaned heavily on the same small circle of childhood friends. Every time she felt lonely, she'd reach out, reliving old memories to ease that ache. It felt safe. But soon, she noticed that clinging to the past this way wasn't making her happy. It was keeping her stuck. Here's the wisdom in Barbara's journey. Growth often lies not in revisiting what's familiar, but in bravely stepping into the unknown. Maybe it's learning to paint. Maybe it's joining a senior book club or going on that group tour you've been too nervous to try. Whatever it is, breaking out of what's comfortable can lead to the most surprising, joyful discoveries. When certain friendships drain rather than uplift, have you ever visited someone and left the encounter feeling more drained than before? Maybe the focus of the conversation stayed negative, or maybe they didn't seem to listen to you in return. If so, you're not alone. This happens more than we talk about. A study from the National Institute on Aging found that quality, not quantity, of social interaction plays a bigger role in our well-being. Thomas, a loyal friend at 76, learned this lesson the hard way. He was so devoted to staying connected, he kept visiting friends who didn't value his time or presence. Eventually, he realized these interactions left him feeling depleted rather than enriched. Here's a gentle reminder. Your time is precious, and your relationships should add energy to your life, not take it away. It's okay to invest less in friendships that no longer serve you. In doing so, you create space for those that fill your life with warmth and joy. Closing thoughts. So what have we uncovered today? Friendships are a beautiful thing, but they can't replace purpose or inner fulfillment. And sometimes, as we change, it's natural for the friendships we've relied on to change too. Instead of clinging to the past, let's set our sights forward to new relationships, new passions, and a renewed sense of confidence in this next chapter. I'd love to hear how today's conversation resonates with you. Have you found yourself rethinking old friendships? Or maybe you've recently discovered an activity or community that lights you up? Leave your thoughts. I treasure each and every one of them. Thank you, as always, for spending this time with me. If you found today's episode helpful, consider sharing it with someone who might need these insights too. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.